That's Kodak Black. And artists of all time. A real freedom fighter. Not really. I just think he's a great thinker. I mean, I like his music. Let me be honest. I like his music. I like his style. I like how he operates. Just, I know that there's probably a lot going on there. Who knows, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. But I really respect the guy. I really like Kodak Black a lot. But anyway, this is a short one. It's coming off the dome. Talking about why the so-called black man struggle in society. I am Marian. A lot of people think I'm black, and that's okay. I don't have to be stupid like them. But we're going to go right into that really quickly. There's this kind of I'm just going off the dome because I got to be quick on this one because they're going to give me the bat signal and call me in. I'm going to get called. Get called. So first, let me just go here. First thing is it goes back to identity. If you identify yourself in a society with everything that is negated within that society, you have lost the game from the get-go. So if I go into a society and they have a word for scum and I associate myself with that word, I have cursed myself from the moment I've entered that society. And so a lot of the so-called black men, the first thing that destroys them is that they call themselves black. And then you would think that African American is a step upwards. No, it's a step backwards. It's even worse because there's no such thing as an African American. I mean, unless you're like Elon Musk or Charlize Theron or Trevor Noah. Okay, those are the only real African Americans. And then if you're like from Tunisia, maybe historically you're African somehow. But that's that. So we got that out of the way. The psychoneuroimmunology, I guess it's psychosocial neuroimmunology, or another word is for it is NLP, neurolinguistic programming. So if you are calling yourself, how you say it, what you say about yourself, and think about yourself is what you're going to bring about yourself. So that's the primary issue. The second thing is that um, unfortunately, culturally, so-called black men they've inherited an inferior culture. They've inherited an inferior culture. What do I mean by that? My grandfather's generation, there were still men in the community, large communities of people that look like myself that are native to the West, Marian type people. There were still large amounts of men who protected the culture. In the 1950s, that shifted and the culture was handed to women to protect, to perpetuate. Women are supposed to perpetuate culture because they're better at it. They're typically around the children, and so they perpetuate culture. Men protect culture. And so Marian men were removed from the families, and it wasn't a nefarious thing. It wasn't necessarily nefarious. Some people had nefarious intent, like the Democratic Party, but it wasn't necessarily nefarious. Part of it was that Marian men are explorers. We are explorers. We like to go around and do things. We tend to have multiple families. That's just cultural to us. Those who bought into Western ideologies and Christology type worlds where it's monogamy, that was intentional. Then they will have one family and one set of kids, and that's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not something we've natively done for tens of thousands of years. We tend to do other things. We have different social structures. And so when those men with those social structures and the ability to manipulate and manage large numbers of families, or at least more than 2 or 3 families, when they were removed from the community because of just the way that things went, then their sons, who were still practicing those things natively, naturally, lost the virtue associated with them. And so now they started judging themselves for having more than one family and for, saying, okay, my kids are at a certain age, they're intelligent and smart enough to go out there and conquer the world. Oh no, I need to be home and coddle them and baby them until they're 18 years old. And so that was a big thing. And so that started happening about the early 20th century up until about the 1950s. And it was kind of solidified in the mid 1950s. We'll say hi to some people. Amen. Thank you, football fan. I love this. I'm glad you do. Thank you so much. Hey, cool kid. Wait, what's up? Yeah. Thanks for coming back. And so those are the first two things. First of all, Marian men call themselves black. And I want to be very clear. Most black men do identify as black and African American, which are terrible terms. Don't ever call yourself that if you're a beautiful chocolate person like myself. Perhaps use the real terms like Marian, Moorish, or something like that, because we're not African. We don't come from Africa, and we're not this color. And even if you are very close to this, you're still Marian. The word Mar means dark colored, or it's been used to call black. It's Mauros, comes from the Greek. And so we've been in Western society for at least 3,500 years. I mean, that's as far back as I can trace it legitimately. And you can look on Encyclopedia Britannica for the references for that. And I have an entire video about Marian people. But anyway, I digress. So those are the first two. They're calling themselves black, and then they're identifying with African American. Elon Musk is African American. I honor him for that. Trevor Noah is African American. I honor him for that. Charlize Theron, one of the most beautiful actresses in the world, is African American. Okay? Let's let them have that. Let's respect that they are African American. I am not, never have been, never will be. And so those are the first two things. Those are simple, easy fixes. The third reason black men fail in Western society is associated with the poor culture that they have inherited from the last 70 years of indoctrination. That is the result of being, and that's just because black women, big quotes there, but the women of those communities have had to be the protectors and the perpetuators of their culture, which has caused them to pass down an inferior culture. And when we were fully aware of what we are and our purpose and mission to the West, we were not shaken by things like racism. We didn't care about that. Who gives a fuck? I mean, I had a Nazi in my, I guess this person thought they were Nazi until they met me and they were like, what am I? I'm questioning my existence. And they probably deleted themselves. But that's okay. I'm Marian. I can do that. We have the ability to wield magic and sorcery. But Marian people in Western society, we've always known that we are an asset to Western society. I've always known that I am a minister as a Marian to Western society, to the West, to Europe, to our European brothers and sisters. I am a minister to them. Another word for minister is servant. Yes, and I own that, and I love that, okay? The problem is that black men have this ideology of I was a king and then I was made a slave. No, okay? That's not kind of how, yes, there was monarchy and royalty in Marian culture, and we had that. I mean, being a father to multiple families and providing for all of them abundantly, it does make you a king. That's why we are divine in that way. But when you come into this society among European-derived peoples, there's a completely different ideology there. There's a completely different perspective of the world. And so as Marian men, you know, we have a gift to give to the society, and we have to own that. And if we are inheriting an inferior culture from our mothers, unfortunately, and I was lucky. I had fathers and grandfathers and all the way back. Like I was connected to the heritage. I was connected to that, and great grandfathers and all of that. And I got to see who they were. Okay, and I really respect who they were, even though all the women hated them. I love that the women hated them, and that's what gave me strength. But a lot of Marian men, unfortunately, don't have access to that, and that's why they're black. Let me just answer some questions. What do you do when the doctor tells you to say, okay, take this? Okay, this is another loser. But anyway, so Marian men are exceptional, but a lot of them are attached to a perspective of themselves that limits their power and purpose in Western society. We initially were supposed to be bringers of light, and again, we were to be ministers to this society. And this is a difficult conversation for a lot of people. And so and again, it goes back to like that idea that they're somehow at effect and they're victims of the society and things like that. I mean, you're going to encounter people like this person here, and they're always going to exist. But you got to understand that if a worm is screaming at you, you have the ability to just walk over them. You don't even have to take the time to squish them because they are worms. And people like that are worms. And so that's the first set of things. It gets more complex than that. But back when I was little, I thought that I was one of the blacks. I thought that I was African American. I thought that stuff. And then I was fortunate enough to have a father that said, hey, this is our family history. And then I actually did research. I was like, oh wow, this is what we actually are. And then I went to the lands where my ancestors came from and met, um, saw the ancient ruins where my family name originated. And I got to see what we actually are. And I had a mother whose family and the matriarchs in the family actually did a great job of perpetuating a higher culture. They did not use the term Mauryan because it's too hard to transmit that to the next generation. Even my kids have a hard time accepting that because we're the only ones of our people. Not really. There's lots of us, um, but it's like you stand out like a sore thumb because you're exceptional, but you look like people that have accepted mediocrity. And so um, when I get the bat, I'll have to jump out of here. Yeah, because I have to delete. There. All right. There we go. So, ooh, people love giving me money, man. Oh my God. People love giving money. I love it. 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 People keep sending me money. All right. So anyway, it's so good getting rich. But like I said, being Marian means that I'm a servant to the next step in human relationships and human things. And black men, unfortunately, like most men generally, have lost their sense of purpose. They've lost their sense of place in the world and therefore have lost their sense of power. And so I'm one of the lucky few. Not only do I play with and live with and interact with the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of whites, um, I live in their world and play in their world and feel extremely comfortable in their world because I know my place. I know what I am in this system. And it's not an inferior role. A minister is a divine role. I am like the Pera. If you know ancient Commission culture and things like that, the Pera is what the Greeks called the Pharaoh. And they thought of him as a god. And yes, he was a god. But he was a god only in the sense that he was a servant to the people. There was no such thing as a Pera that was legitimate, that served himself at the expense of the people. The Pera was like, he was the house of the people. He was where the people came for healing and for wisdom and for enlightenment. And in that way, he was a god. And so as a Marian man, I understand that mission and I understand that purpose. And I know that it transcends my loyalty and allegiance to any group of people that looks like me. I have to live as a full blown apex human. And being apex human means that I have to honor my Marian heritage. And so I wanted to say that. I thought it was important to share. So if you're out there and you're a man of rich, beautiful chocolate complexion, and you are seeing yourself as a victim of Western society, perhaps understand that you have a valuable and vital role in this experiment that we call the United States, in this experiment that we call human culture, and start to find out where you fit into that. You can accept your divine status, but you have to demonstrate your divine status. And you have to demonstrate that to yourself before you can demonstrate that to anyone else. And so if you're a father of beautiful Marian or mixed Marian children, I want to let you know that you've got to love yourself and understand your purpose and value in this world. And understand that when you accept the call and the dictation from the Most High that dwells inside of you, then you'll be loved. I mean, you'll be honored. You'll be worshipped as a God. And it won't even matter to you. You'll say, okay, I mean, I have a purpose here. And so I just want to share that with other Marian men who I dearly love, who are in the blindness of black culture and African American, black culture and being an African American. Oh. I always do that, like it's a quasi gay man like accent for that kind of politically correct stuff. So anyway, Oh, the gummy worms are joining us. Welcome, gummy worm. We have a gummy worm who's helping to promote my algorithm. You've been doing a great job. Gummy worms make up the bricks that will be the foundation of the golden age to come. And as an apex human, as a geopolitical Christian, I welcome you and I thank you for your service. And with that said, for those of you who are apex, the apex Marians that are out there, our Aryan brothers who actually have functioning brains, the Albarians, um, and the Chimerans of all types, from those of the Jewish faith and Jewish culture, all the way along to the Mongolians and the Atlanteans. We're building heaven now. We're rebuilding God's kingdom on earth. And when I say God's kingdom, I mean the kingdom of the gods. We are the gods of the Aquarian age. And if you think of yourself as a god, as a lord over other gummy worms, then you are just a gummy worm who's slightly above the other gummy worms. We are lords and gods in the sense that we are here to serve humanity by perpetuating harmony, by promoting prosperity, purpose, power, peace, and pleasure in the human experience. And so I want to encourage you to activate that in your life, to create a golden age for yourself so that you can be a living gospel in your own life. You can be a beautiful example of how life looks when it works in the human experience. So with that said, thank you to the gummy worms for joining us. Gummy worm gospel gobbling goobs. And I do appreciate all of your efforts to keep this channel alive. And I definitely will compensate you for your time, Disneyland. Thank you. Stay Apex, those of you who are Apex.